Hey guys, welcome back to the build. Man, I am excited. I really enjoy the fabrication and the thought process in putting this together. Now, if you haven't watched some of our other videos, what we're doing is building the fastest stand-up in the world. We're using a ProForce 3.0 shell, and we've gotten ourselves a Sea-Doo supercharged engine with some highly modified parts. I'm expecting to see upwards of 350 horsepower on 91 octane gas. So yeah, I'm so excited. I'm like a little kid on Christmas, I just can't wait to start this thing and hear it. Yeah, so, and I'm really enjoying like the fabrication end of the thought process end of things, to figuring out how I'm going to go about this. Now, it's easy for me to just one-off a piece and make whatever I want for this build, but I'm really trying to think forward and think about one of you. When one of you order one of these packages from us, whether you're just buying the hull with the mounting so you can put your Sea-Doo engine in, or if you're going to want a turnkey ski from us, we could provide possibly something anywhere from 215 horsepower to as extreme as what you're seeing here. So anyways, I want to show you what I've worked on from last week. Okay, so I really focused last week on this air intake system. Here's a little montage of us building this air intake tube. And then we went into this blow-off valve. Now, I'm not super familiar with blow-off valves, but I did a little research, and what I found out is when you have quite a bit of boost and the throttle plate closes, that boost has got to go somewhere, and that's where this blow-off valve comes into play. So purposes. You know, this is all part of the thought process of this build. So you see, I got a really nice blue anodized fuel rail. I'm going to be working on my fuel system a little bit next week. I got the wire harness kind of mocked up in there. Everything you see here is kind of my first mock-up. This is just me putting in the engine, bolting all these parts, making sure my exhaust fits, making sure my air intake fits, like getting my intercooler and all these hoses to make sure everything lines up and assembly is going to go really well. Okay, so what is the next step? For me, like, it's kind of figuring out the last pieces of this puzzle. And a big one is my pump and driveline. You know, so you can't just go down to Walmart and buy a driveline to bolt into this thing. You can't get it from another ski. I literally have to make something, and it's got to be able to fit either a setback or a normal pump. Right now, I'm going to go for a setback pump. Originally, I was going to do a Freedom, but I wasn't quite sure what I'm going to do as far as size and vanes. So I have the Scat Track pump, and I got it in there right now. You can see the bearings and such right there. I don't have the cone on it at the moment, but I got the pump in, I got the engine in, and now I got to figure out the distance between the two components, and that's where I'm here now. So what you see here is my ProForce drive shaft, right? And then this is our Sea-Doo drive shaft. So I'm guesstimating I'm gonna be cutting somewhere in here. I'm gonna keep this half, and I'm gonna keep that half of the ProForce. But I gotta figure out exactly what my length is. And I really thought about how I'm gonna go about this, because obviously I just can't stick a tape measure in this thing and figure that out. Now, you guys probably in the comments can come up with something a little more creative of figuring out what my distance is going to be, because the other variable is I got a bearing support that's going to be down there, and I'm going to use the Kawasaki style bearing support, which is this guy right here. So I'm going to use this WSM bearing support. I've used these before. They actually work quite well. They're easy to rebuild, just as good as OEM for me. So I got to know like where that bearing's gonna ride, because obviously I have two different diameters here for the shafts. So I really want to make sure that my bearing support is gonna ride somewhere nice on the shaft. So I got to think about that when I'm building this thing. So here's our jet pump. And now I'm going to be, this is sort of my, these are my 3/8 extensions, right? So this is sort of supposed to mimic the length of my drive shaft. I'm not exactly sure like how long it needs to be, so I may put them all in or not them all in, but basically, so just going to shove that in there. Start with my long ones. So ultimately what's going to happen is that extension's going to go inside this impeller, and then this should be able to bottom out, and then I should be able to grab those extensions and maybe see a little bit of wiggle, but definitely shouldn't be binding. So I want to tighten down the pump, and then like I said, I'll kind of grab the 3/8 extensions. And if I get a little bit of wiggle, I think I'm right there. I don't think I can put anything bigger than what you see here into this jet ski. It's a 160 millimeter jet pump, which normally like comes in like a SXR or even a Race ProForce. It's like 148. So that 12 millimeter difference is massive. 160 is about what they put into those really high horsepower Sea-Doo drag race machines. So Okay, so I got the pump tightened down. The extensions are in there all the way to the engine, inside of the engine. My pump is really close to bottoming out. I think if I pull out everything I have now and I take off maybe 10 millimeters of what I see, I'm going to be right in the range. I'm going to pull out the pump. We're going to pull out those extensions, set them on the bench here, and compare them to the drive shafts that we're going to modify. There we are. That's pretty much the length. This thing's massive. Look how tall that is. So check this out. Okay, so here's our two drive shafts, right? The ProForce, which I'm going to put right to the end. I'm actually going to take out, like I said, like 10 millimeters out of the length because I know it's a little bit long. And then this guy here, this is our Sea-Doo one. So there we go. So I'm going to want to save this part. This is the part that goes in the engine. This kind of plugs up the oil system, right? This is that, it's kind of like a bearing seal sort of for the engine part. This is the original. These are like their carbon seal stuff. I'm not doing any of that. I'm doing the SXR Kawasaki style bearing support that fits the ProForce. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to probably cut right here in this area, and I'm going to make this a male and make that a female or one of the other, and then we're going to press them into each other, and then I'm going to weld it, and I'm going to take these two and make them this length. So that's what we're going to do. That's the plan. That's actually going to be in the next episode. You're going to see this drive shaft kind of come to life. Okay, check this out, you guys. I really like seeing these, we're gonna call them like analog gauges. You know, we're gonna have some liquid filled, nice Marshall gauges here for oil pressure, fuel pressure, boost on this side. And this layout may change a little bit, but I plan on having like a nice large GPS. I want to know what my wideband is, and then I'll have fuel level and RPM. So I definitely want to know what my fuel range is on this monster. Obviously it's going to eat some gas. So if I go for a cruise, if I just want to rip it around the lake, that is super important. And how I'm going to get that is by using the OEM tank here. So I got this tank. It will take the stock fuel pump, right? And so this guy here is it's known to have problems. And obviously it's not perfect, but it does offer the fuel level, which that's super important to me. And I like the fuel pumps in it. It does have like a built-in regulator. And well, anyways, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about this OEM fuel pump. Now, you can buy the Chinese ones out there, and they're a little more affordable than the OEM. And the way you know is if you look at the top here, you see how there's no sticker? And then you look at this guy over here. This is an OEM one. You see there's that green Kawasaki sticker. There it is. Yep. And the part number. So that is, that's definitely an OEM one. And so I took apart the OEM one. This was a bad one, and I wanted to figure out what was wrong. It ended up just being like a bad sock, and usually this is one of the culprits of this fuel pump. This thing kind of, it's got paper in it or some sort of material that comes apart, and then it clogs the inside of this fuel pump and makes things go bad. Now, a simple fix, probably a good cost-effective measure, is to go, you can go on Amazon, you can get the stock right here, and you can just replace it, and there's no paper in it, it's just sort of like a synthetic mesh, and that will definitely make a big difference. So there's also kits out there where you can get different fuel pumps to kind of rebuild this thing, and I think the aftermarket fuel pumps are a little better in quality, or they look better quality than the OEM one. This is an OEM one. There's that, there's the number there, so you can see. This one I think is okay. I didn't really see any major problems. One thing that I just sort of learned from my buddy, Mike Klippenstein, so this piece was all together here, right? And this is where, this is the fuel regulator, and this guy shoves into the side here. So what's inside of this, which usually is sort of glued together, you would have to actually cut this apart like what I did, and you'll see that there's a screen in there. And so the fuel comes up through that hole there, through the screen, and then into the fuel regulator, or it will go up and out the top of this here. So that's a little look at the inside of one of these fuel pumps. And a lot of times when this sock just is totally destroyed, more than likely there's material or something that went through the fuel pump and then into this screen, and there's really no cleaning that screen unless you cut it apart like I did and then figure out a way to like glue it or mesh it back together. Now the other thing that fails is this little O-ring, right? So this little O-ring here is like that one there. It's between these joints where it clicks together. So that clicks there, and then this one clicks onto that one. And because these are plastic, that sometimes they wiggle loose, and you'll notice a lot of the guys like will put hose clamps on these to really kind of secure and keep that tight. And so that's a little inside look at the fuel pump. I plan on using one of these. More than likely what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this and plug it, and I'm going to put my own fuel regulator in, which I have over here. So I got this Fuel Lab, which they're pretty good, nice little compact, and this guy is going to hang out like right there, and then I'll have my return, and then that'll be my fuel pressure, and of course right here will be my adjustment on the end of the fuel rail. And so I'm going to probably set this up kind of like you see there. So that's a little look at what my plan is with my setup. So there you go. There's a little what's to come and a little insight of what these fuel pumps look like. Well, that's pretty much the end of this video. Man, we went over so many things, you know, like I'm running through all the scenarios in my head of like, what do I need to fab and fit and check? You know, I got a lot of the big pieces out of the way. That dry shaft was huge, you know, just being able to get in that measurement. And I finally got to cut it and align it. I'm going to take it to my machinist, and he's gonna machine it so and press it together for me so I can weld it. Like I said, I'll show you guys in the next video a little more of those details. We're also going to get a little more deep dive into my fuel pump stuff. We're going to start looking at gauges and stuff in the next video. But for now, I feel like, you know, my first mock-up of bolting everything together, I'm there. I'm ready to kind of start removing things out of the hull and doing my final, like, kind of changing fittings and maybe a little powder coat on a couple of things. And you know, that's where I'm going to start putting on my handle pull and get my jet trim on. And this watercraft's going to come together quite quickly, hopefully, at that moment. So anyways, thanks for following. Like always, I'm having a blast. I hope you're enjoying the videos. Like, subscribe, share it if you will. You know, and if you haven't noticed yet, we got some fresh new merch. Cool little logo on the back. My son made this. His SIG is right here in the corner. You can check it out on our website under our merch section, of course. That's it. Here we go.
Well, step back and give me some slack. When there's a one thing, my head is splitting again. Step back and give me some slack. I can't take your mouth no more. I said, step back and give me some slack. I'm off the wall, I'm out the door. Well, step back and give me some slack.